Hello artists, let's work on a cardboard loom weaving. Now you can make your own loom out of any piece of cardboard. You just cut little cuts at each end, not too close together, but just far enough apart that you know they won't rip out if you put your string in. I like to tape my string to start, and then I go back and forth from end to end. You'll see me wrap around the little post because I don't want to use a bunch of string. These are called my warp strings, and your warp strings is what actually holds all of your weaving together. When I get to the end, I simply snip it off, tape it onto the back. Now I have already prepared a loom for us to use today that's a little bit longer, and I did purchase these from a craft store. You can see that I've hot glued a popsicle stick at the top and the bottom just to make it a little easier to put my string in and out. Now you can weave under, over with your fingers, but as you watch me, I've done it a lot and I still struggle just a little bit. So I'll speed this up. Show me doing a few more of these so you get the idea. Hey, if you're at home, you can make this happen. I even used a plastic fork to kind of smash those down a little. You could use your fingers though. This does not have to be a real high-tech thing. After I go on like this for just a minute, weaving under, over, I get a little bit tired of trying to get it through those strings just perfectly. So I'm going to show you how to cut a needle. I just used some thick cardstock. This is an index card that I had. And you don't have to draw it out first. You can just kind of cut it. It needs to be a long, skinny triangle, like an isosceles triangle. Then I fold one little piece back at the end, the thick part of it. I'm just going to cut a little notch out because this is actually making the eye of my needle where I'm going to have to put that yarn. Fold out my little piece and ta-da, we made a needle. Thread your string through there, your yarn, your lace, whatever you're using, and then you can continue on weaving over, under, over, under. After a couple of passes, I decided that my point on my needle was kind of causing me a little grief, so I just simply trimmed it off. I made it blunt or round at the end because I didn't want it to snag on my warp strings as I was trying to thread this through. It worked much better. I simply keep going over, under, alternating as I go across my warp strings. And when you get tired of one color, or you want to switch it up, you can just let this end piece hang, snip it off kind of close to your warp strings, and add in your new yarn or whatever you're weaving with. Now, one thing that I think is actually pretty awesome, and you see this a lot in art now that maybe someone will buy for a wall hanging or something, is that it's not the same throughout. It's not consistent. So you can actually weave just a little bit, like over, under, maybe 3 strings on a side, and go back and forth and create some different looks in your whole overall weaving. So we do want to create something that's pleasing to look at. Make sure that your colors match up. Take your time on this and just enjoy the process. Relax as you see your artwork come to life. out how long you want your overall project to be. What are you going to do with this? Will it have a function or be for display, maybe to brighten up an area in your house? That's how far you need to weave it. So you can see at one point I even cut a smaller needle to help me with this. But at the very end, I'm going to actually take it off of my loom. So my last thread that I did, I looped around my end warp string one time and then stick it through the middle, and a second time and stick my needle through the middle. Just like you're tying your shoe. We've done these knots before. To take it off my loom, I'm going to simply cut my warp strings as long as I can. See, I'm right next to the stick here, and then I pull it out. Oh, this is a good tip right here. I tied these together, again, the same way I would tie a shoe. Cross it over, tuck it under, cross it over, tuck it under. You have to do that 2 times to lock it in. And you'll notice that you have an odd number of strings. It doesn't matter. Just use 2 in one hand and 1 in the other hand. Tie those knots, lock them in on both ends. Flatten it out with your hands, and there you have it, artists. You've made a complete weaving.